G'day and welcome to Chronicle Chamber. This is for those who came in late regarding the Temple of the Gods saga. The Temple of the Gods, we were first introduced to them in 2005, and now in 2022, we see them in a Sunday story. The stories have been created by Tony DePaul, Hans Lindell, David Bishop, and a handful of others as well. So they've been created in the daily strip, the Sunday strip, which is the current story, as well as Team Phantom Men stories. So this is going to give you a bit of a history on the whole saga from the beginning to where we are currently. Eden, which is a Team Phantom Men story, which was last published in through 1609. The 213th daily story, which was last printed in through 1418. Daily story number 214, which was last published in 1433. Then the Team Phantom Men stories was part 3, The Secret Set, which is in through 1445, part 4, The Servant of Evil, 1464, part 5, which is titled Thirst, which was published last in through 1469. 2007, so it's a 15-year gap. The Beast Stir, which was Team Phantom Men's story, which was last published in through 1479. You have a look on our website or the YouTube notes, you will see all the through issues and details from there. So let's start off with Eden, which is a beautiful story, one of the best stories ever created. Now, this gives you the origin of Eden. So Eden was created by a wild boy called Archie. The 20th Phantom fails to civilize him, inverted commas, and is given the island as refuge, who uses the island and turns it into a paradise. Archie is able to make wild animals friendly by talking to them in a whispering voice. Now, the German sub, which we will talk about a little bit later, was came to Eden. A battle between the British ship and the German submarine occurs, which sees the submarine sunk. And then the British ship shells or puts explosives on Eden. Archie assembles all the animals on a raft and tries to rescue them. The English soldiers open fire, and to save them, he grabs a grenade and, while wounded, reaches the soldiers and kills everyone, including himself, to save the animals. It is a sad, sad story, and perhaps one of the few that would see some cry or feel sad after reading it. That gives you the origin of Eden and why the submarine was at Eden. In Temple of the Gods, Part 1, which is the daily story, the Phantom spots some reef divers near Eden who dive at night. He investigates and finds out that they were after a scroll map inside a German submarine. He learns that the divers are using the map to try and find a secret society that had been exiled from Egypt to create a race of supermen. The German submarine is looking for the temple before doing the secret science of creating superhuman soldiers. The Phantom steals the scroll from Mina, who is the leader of the expedition, and then goes on to try and find the temple hidden beneath a mountain on Eden. Mina finds her way to the temple. The Phantom rescues her from her associates, and then gets rid of the associates who turn out to be bad guys, and then the Phantom and Mina try to understand more. In Temple of the Gods Part 2, which is the daily story 214, Mina helps the Phantom translate hieroglyphic symbols, which he finds in the Third Phantom's Chronicles, while looking for the mention of the secret temple on Eden. What they find is that it is a warning not to go to the temple. However, like any good adventurer, they decide to not adhere to that warning and to explore it. Basically, he goes with Guran, finds out that Mina learnt about the existence of the temple from a great uncle's diary. Leaves Guran, Devil, and Mina at the entrance or just inside the temple, and then goes to goes underneath, and he travels for hours and hours. He finds the third phantom skull mark made with blood on a wall. He leaves and sees some monsters while the phantom takes Mina back to Germany, wipes her memory, steals the grandfather's diary so no one else can find about Eden. What follows from that, stories that are created by Team Phantom, which gives you a little bit more of an idea of what the Temple of God. So some of these stories were created by various Phantom creators, loosely based on what Tony D. Paul had kind of created, and they've kind of added to it. So in the third part, which is the first of the Team Phantom stories, strangers are kidnapping Rassakar men to attack and kill the monsters on Eden. The third Phantom learns that monster stories in our world, like werewolves, vampires, Bigfoots, and other monsters, have their origins in this temple. The men capture the Phantom and gives him as bait to try and kill as many monsters as possible. A great battle follows, and he barely gets away with his life. Hence the skull and the hieroglyphic message in his chronicle. He is the first Phantom to encounter these beasts and temple. Temple of the Gods Part 4 in 1680. The Phantom and Zuran, a descendant of Garan, are travelling into Egypt where they meet an old man who is guarding an old grave from grave robbers. It turns out to be a sarcophagus of Pharaoh Ahmose, Ahmose, who was behind the creation of the monsters. Temple of the Gods Part 5 story features the eighth Phantom who is trying to find a young pretty lady and learns of the island of Eden and how there are people who are experimenting on humans and things, I think is the best way to explain it. He's unable to save her and she dies in his arms, and it is a tragic story and touches upon our inability as humans to treat people who come from different backgrounds, who look different, with compassion. The young lady's name is Mororica, or Maria, as it was shortened when she tried to become civilized. She has to drink blood to live and was found in a location called Transylvania. And you guess it, it gives us a potential origin of vampires. Okay, so the last story that we ever saw in this, which was 15 years ago, was published in 2007, which is Temple of the Gods Part 6. The 17th Phantom arrives in Paris in 1888 to visit his twin sister, Julie. What follows is a true classic Beauty and the Beast storyline without a happy ending, which we see in Disney. Monsters are basically capturing humans so they can then transplant and swap heads so they do not have to live in fear of looking different. As you learn throughout these stories, the beasts that have escaped this temple have tried to enter into civilization to live their life in peace, but it doesn't always happen. So some go to an extreme attempt to try and swap their heads so they can look human. Of course, the Phantom rescues the day, and the beast dies while rescuing his beauty, which is perhaps a better version of the Beauty and the Beast storyline. And of course, the Phantom rescues her, and the beasts go away. So we have not seen anything for 15 years until Tony D. Paul has started this story in the current Sunday. Now, I believe from what we have been told that this Sunday story will be longer than normal, but for those who have come in late and have not read those daily stories or Team Phantom stories from 15 to 17 years ago, hopefully this video will give you a bit of an idea of what may happen or a little bit about the origin of this temple. And let's see where Tony takes us. Hope you enjoy the story, and give us your feedback with the comments on social media or on YouTube. Thank you for listening. Bye.